Hey guys, I hope everyone's having a wonderful holiday season. As it has come to the end of the year, I thought that I would count down my top 10 favourite films of this year, as I've seen so many and I want to share what I think. So let's get right into it. At number 10 I have Sicario: Day of the Soldado. The first thing that comes to mind when I think of this film is just horrific. It is definitely not a film you go to see for entertainment, at least not in the stereotypical way of, you know, enjoying an action movie, eating popcorn. It's definitely not no popcorn flick. This film is dark, it is gritty and riveting, especially the opening scene. Even the main characters themselves aren't necessarily the good guys. They're not bad guys, but they're definitely not good. And the action scenes, I would hesitate to call them action scenes, they're more like just displays of violence which you just sit in awe at and watch. The message about how drugs, terrorism and violence has this terrible effect on children is fantastic. I think the cinematography is great and the acting from Josh Brolin and Benicio del Toro is just on point. Next at number 9 is a polar opposite to Sicario, and it's just a ridiculous, fun, popcorn flick time, and that's Aquaman. This film surprised me and come out swinging in December, especially looking back at DC's past, which is not great. Personally, I think the only good one is probably Man of Steel, but I much prefer Jason Momoa here in this role because he's just having fun. Everyone in this film seems like they're just having fun with their characters. When the film first started and kicked off with an action scene and they were using all the wide angles, I was like, if this is the action for this entire movie, I am down. You could see every hit, every impact, every smooth bit of motion. There was no shaky cam, it was all clear, and it's just a blast to watch. All things I love, like the Uncharted games, the Indiana Jones films, the Percy Jackson series, and superhero movies. It feels like a great superhero movie. And well done DC, I'm excited to see where else you go with your next films. Now, number 8, I have Christopher Robin. This film was an emotional roller coaster for me. I cried at least 4 times, I was laughing continuously. This film is the definition of my childhood. I loved Winnie the Pooh. Bringing back the original voice actor from the TV show was perfect. Within the first 7 minutes of this film, I was a wreck, crying like a little bitch when Christopher Robin was saying goodbye to everyone in the 100-Acre Wood. The whole idea of growing up and leaving your innocence behind, you know, it's sad. And then seeing where Christopher Robin ends up, the guy's basically an asshole. He prioritises work over his family, and I love how they lay out the story that Christopher Robin thinks he's trying to help Winnie the Pooh look for all of his friends, when in fact Winnie the Pooh is trying to help Christopher Robin find himself again. And because of that, I thought this story was beautiful and definitely deserved a place on my list. At number 7 I have Solo: A Star Wars Story. Now, for a lot of people, they may disagree with me. Many people didn't even want this film to happen. When they heard about it, they were like, fuck that. I was the same. I definitely didn't want a solo Star Wars movie. I heard the idea and I thought it was stupid. However, I went in this film after seeing The Last Jedi, obviously, a couple months before, and if you don't know me, I hate The Last Jedi. I just don't like it. It's a bad film. However, I come out of Solo: A Star Wars Story extremely excited and looking forward to see where Disney go with their spin-off Star Wars universe. But the entire movie itself, I thought, was a blast. I had a great time with it. I thought Alden Ehrenreich was perfect and great casting. There was times where, you know, he would be standing there or he would say something or do something and I was like, that looks like Harrison Ford. He got his mannerisms down to a T and I thought it was brilliant. But overall, I thought it was a great Star Wars film for me. I enjoyed it. I saw the film multiple times. So because of that, I thought it deserved a place on my list. At number 6, I have a film which I didn't expect to like. I didn't even know about until like a week before seeing it. And that is A Simple Favor. This film was brilliant. Now, maybe not everyone will love it, I'm not entirely sure, but for me, it ticked every single box. It was funny, it had a great twist, it was a thriller, it was slightly dark. I thought Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick's acting was perfect. This film has made me fall in love with Anna Kendrick. I think she's hilarious. Both characters come from a very comedic background or a very, you know, light-hearted background, but this film It's dark, it's got some dark themes in there, and it's a thriller film, you know, through and through. It's got some twists, some really good twists, it's got some creepy vibes, and throughout the entire film I was just smiling. I was fully entertained the entire time. And now, kicking off the top 5, we have Deadpool 2. This film is absolutely hilarious. I thought Josh Brolin was a great addition to the cast of Deadpool. This film is just better and bigger than Deadpool 1 in every way. The scope's so much bigger, the story's much more interesting and more fleshed out, there's more characters, the CGI's better, the action's better, and personally I think the comedy's better. I loved the whole remix they did with his wife and Death. If you don't know, in the comics, Deadpool has a relationship with Death, and in this film, obviously, something happens to his wife, and he keeps having this thing whenever he dies, he goes to basically die. You know, he goes to go to heaven, but when he goes there, his wife's there, and she's kind of like, you're not ready. And there's that whole thing and that whole twist there. I liked that remix. That was a really interesting remix, basically making his wife deaf. You know, they couldn't have Deadpool's wife in it anymore. However, the film ends with some weird time stuff, so I've got no idea where the X-Men timeline's going on, because you know the whole thing's a mess. I stopped watching the X-Men films ages ago. I haven't seen Apocalypse, I haven't seen Days of Future Past. Apparently some of them are good, but I watched Logan. I was like, that's a wicked ending to X-Men right there. Logan story, X-Men story, you know, because there's Professor X in it. You know, Logan, perfect ending to the whole thing. And I think they should just continue with Deadpool. They're not. They're doing Black Phoenix and doing whatever else they're doing. Maybe I'll watch them, maybe I'll catch up, I don't know. I'm just not bothered. Unless there's Wolverine in it or Deadpool now, not too bothered. And yeah, Deadpool was fantastic in every way. Now going into number 4, we have Avengers Infinity War. This film was an event. There's not much I can say other than it was just amazing. 10 years leading up to this point. You know, Thanos, Josh Brolin this year, man, he was on point. He was on point, actor of the year. He was brilliant as Thanos. You feel bad for him, I feel like sometimes. Even though you know his motivations are flawed, in his eyes he thinks he's the hero. There are some issues with this film. I have some nitpicky issues with the film, mainly the Wakanda stuff. But other than that, it is perfect. It is incredible what the Russo brothers managed to do with the massive cast that they have. I mean, these people are huge actors, and there's so many of them, and it's such an amazing feat and milestone for the industry. I thought the action was superb, the story was fantastic, and I'm extraordinarily excited for Endgame. I've got no idea where they're going. I knew how Avengers Infinity War was going to end. I knew that they would end up losing. I didn't know how they would lose. I didn't know who would bite the bullet. Didn't think it would be who it was. You know, all those people that went, Jesus Christ. I think Marvel did it again. They knocked it out of the park, and it definitely deserves to be in my number 4. Final 3, my 3 favourite films of 2018. This was difficult, you know, Avengers was up there. So my number 3 favourite film of 2018 is Ready Player One. Now, Steven Spielberg is great. I don't need to expand on that. And Ready Player One, from beginning to end, is a roller coaster of fun and just brilliance. What other film do you have this Lord of the Rings scale battle where you can see Lara Croft, Master Chief with his blue team, and Tracer from Overwatch all charging together in battle? There isn't one. And then Chucky comes out of nowhere and starts messing people up. The Shining recreation I thought was fantastic, and the world is just so interesting. I would love to be able to play this game. Like, as a game fan, it is brilliant. If you're a fan of video games, if you're a fan of pop culture, fan of Steven Spielberg, see Ready Player One, because honestly you're doing yourself a favour. And I thought it was clever. I just thought it was a really clever film. Maybe not everyone will enjoy it, but personally I think it definitely deserves to be my number 3 favourite film of the year, and I will definitely be watching it again. Now to the final 2. This was difficult. The top 2 were hard. However, my number 1 is my number 1 for a reason, and it was quite easy once I saw that film to be like, yeah, that's my number 1. My number 2, Ready Player One. Ready Player One was my number 2. It was my number 1 film of the year at one point, but other films come out during the year which just knocked it down a bit of a peg, because this next film is truly fantastic. My number 2 favourite film of the year is Mission Impossible Fallout. This film is visually stunning. Action is just on another level. When I think of an action film now, I'll be comparing it to Mission Impossible Fallout. What they did here is a huge achievement in filmmaking. Stuff you see usually in films, like other action films, like Avengers or any other superhero movie, you know that a lot of the stuff they're doing is fake, it's CGI, but it's extension of disbelief. You still enjoy it, it still looks good enough. However, you're watching Mission Impossible and you're just treated to this amazing angles, amazing shots, and just real. The film just feels real and gritty because it is. Set pieces in this film are insane. The Paris motorcycle sequence is incredible, and then the helicopter bit at the end, I honestly didn't think it was real. Not because it didn't look real, but because it's so insane, I didn't think they'd be able to do it. But they actually did. Apparently they got cameras and they hid them in different places. I say hid them, but they placed them in different places around the hilltops where they did it. And the place I think they filmed it in New Zealand, and it's the only place that would let them do what they wanted to do, because they were basically in 2 helicopters trying to smash into each other. And you can tell when you're watching the film, because that's Tom Cruise flying a helicopter and he is trying to kill Henry Cavill with the helicopter. It's an insane movie. It looks fantastic, the action is brilliant, the story is also great, a follow-on from the previous one, Rogue Nation, which isn't something Mission Impossible usually do. You're emotionally invested in these characters at this point, so when you're seeing them go through these things and you know they're actually going through them, it's just another level of realism and another level of immersion which not many films have. Which is why Tom Cruise is definitely one of my favourite actors of all time, purely because when I'm watching him do something, I'm like, yeah, Tom Cruise is doing whatever it is he's doing on that scene. If you haven't seen Mission Impossible Fallout or any of the Mission Impossible films, definitely go see them, because they're an absolute blast and a great time. Some people, if you know me, can think I'm quite biased here, and I'll admit I am quite biased to this being my number 1. However, there are actual reasons for it being my number 1, because this film is truly amazing, and that is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This is an extremely unique film, artistic film, and a beautiful film to watch. The colours physically pop off the screen, and that's not even including the story. The story itself is immersive. You physically care about all the characters. It's extremely funny, and some people might go into it thinking it's a cartoon, I don't want to see a cartoon, or it's a kids movie. This isn't just any kids movie. To be honest, most kids might go into this and come out quite confused, because the story isn't extremely simple. They don't water anything down. People die in this film. There's emotional weight, there's heart, and it's a fantastic ride. I love Nicolas Cage as Noir Spider-Man. He's brilliant, and I can easily say my new favourite Spider-Man is Miles Morales. Wilson Fisk, the good old Kingpin, is brilliant. His motivations are believable and quite sad, and you can't help but feel slightly bad for him. And throughout the entire movie, I was just smiling. I was physically smiling because they'd done it. Sony had done it. They'd got Spider-Man right. The respect for Sam Raimi's Spider-Man and Tobey Maguire is great. Sony don't usually acknowledge the Tobey Maguire and Sam Raimi films, but they're the films I grew up with. They're the films a lot of people grew up with. That's their Spider-Man. And I love the respect and the homages they do to that Spider-Man in this film. Overall, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is just a fantastic time. It's entertaining, it's funny, it's sad, it's heartwarming, and it tells a fantastic story, and it does it stylistically. The animation is out of this world, and you feel like you're watching a live action comic book. And that is why Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is my number 1 film of 2018. That is my top 10 films of 2018. If you disagree, leave a comment, let me know. But this is my opinion, this is what I think, and the films I saw and what I really enjoyed and think people should go out and see. So until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye.